And TGIF, everyone. Welcome into the First Call podcast. Alongside Scott Shapiro, I'm Jeremy Plonk. We've got Express Bet and First Bet teed up for a big weekend this weekend. Tournaments all over the place. We've got handicapping for big Triple Crown prep races, 4 of them, Friday and Saturday across the country. I guess Mother Nature wasn't too nice to us last week, Scott, but I guess the benefit is we kind of get a little double stuff this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still kind of figuring out how to get some of the dryness off my hands from the cold. But outside of that, it's in the past. We got a good
O'Keefe's. I'm looking for it. I use the O'Keefe's cream. So get yourself a bottle of it. I got it on my desk. I don't know where it's at.
A lot of work to handicap with hand cream on, though. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it really worked out well for today, meaning Friday, where we've got a really good card at Oaklawn, of course, and we got the Withers at Aqueduct. So some good racing on a Friday. Usually there's some good racing, but nowhere near this level.
Big day at Santa Anita on Saturday. And, of course, California, the place to be on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. So huge weekend in the racing world. Some adjusted post times on Sunday, so keep an eye out for that around the Super Bowl. We won't give you any picks on the Seahawks or Patriots. That's not my bag. I don't know if Scott's got a pick, but I haven't followed it close enough to have any opinion on it. You got a Super Bowl tab?
You know, it's honest. I mean, you know how big of an NFL guy. I follow the third string running backs, what they've done in practice. But the Super Bowl is always a little, and I'll love the game, but the Super Bowl is always a little anticlimactic to me as a gambler, as someone that likes to assess things from that perspective. I don't have an opinion of like who I want to root for in the game. I think Seattle's been the best team this year. I think they'll probably win. I just don't know if I would lay the points.
All right, let's talk about what we're going to do handicap this weekend on the racetrack. For those of you watching on our video channels on X or on YouTube, thank you for that. Be sure to comment in the comment sections. Tell us who you like this weekend in the big races. Help us grow the audience and smash that subscribe button and join our family here following the First Call podcast. As for those of you on our traditional audio channels, let's run down the 8 races. Scott and I are going to handicap. Get a little Friday feature for you. We're going to take 1 from Friday, 7 from Saturday for our 8 races this weekend. Of course, they've got the Withers at Aqueduct on Friday. We're going to handicap, however, the Southwest, big field of 13 in there after the scratch of litmus test. Oaklawn's got the Southwest Stakes. We'll talk about that one coming up first. Then we'll go to the Saturday action for February the 7th, Gulfstream Park's Ladies Turf Sprint, then to Santa Anita for 4 stakes races on a big card, the Thunder Road, the D. Wayne Lukas, the Robert B. Lewis for the Triple Crown hopefuls, and the Sweet Life Stakes, turf sprinters in that one to wrap things up, and to Tampa Bay Downs, where it's their biggest day so far of the season, prep day towards the Tampa Bay Derby with the Pelican Stakes and the Sam F. Davis featured on that program. Some real prospects, I think, could be in action this coming weekend. Scott, last week when we saw the Holy Bull and some of the results that over the past week or so with horses off the track, litmus test didn't make it to the Southwest this weekend. Ted Naffy was retired right before we did our podcast last week. A lot of change. What do you make of nearly winning at Gulfstream there in the Holy Bull?
Well, I don't want to take anything away from the fast effort in terms of looking forward. I'm not sure if the distance will be an issue, but it's not often that a horse races this often and wins the Derby in recent times, So I'm a little worried he's going to either take too much time off. Todd Pletcher knows how to get a horse to the Derby. This is not a knock on Todd. It's hard to get your horse to peak in the Kentucky Derby, but I think his goal will be a little challenging with this one, but very disappointing for the rest of the field. And so it's hard to, really know how good Nearly ran. I mean, you could put a couple of those others. Cannoneer, a horse that I thought had a big chance. I know you did as well. I retired my Derby Futures ticket.
Yeah, I mean, he went up in flames. Incredible, never got out of the stall, it seemed like. So it was a rough go for those behind Nearly in there, who's now won 3 times at the Gulfstream meet dating back into November. So he loves it at Gulfstream. He'll probably stay there for the Florida Derby. No sense heading out and changing what's working for them at this point. I want to remind you, if you play handicapping tournaments, what a huge weekend it is. We've got a handicapping tournament today at Oaklawn towards tomorrow's $3,500 Horse Players Championship for Oaklawn Park. So big handicapping tournament there nationally. You can play it at our platform form at expressbet.com. Also, tomorrow we've got a $1,500 NHC Super Qualifier. Those are the ones where you kind of got a high ratio based on the number of players who enter. So many tickets and berths for the National Horse Players Championship are on the line. So a super ratio qualifier, your best chance of making the NHC field playing in that one, $1,500 entry fee on Saturday. And for those of you trying to beat the host, I believe we're up to week number 6. It's Tom Quigley. He likes to talk some trash. Maybe you can quiet him down this weekend. Tom Quigley, they beat the host this week. $2,000 in weekly prizes on the line. So take on Tom this weekend. It's the final 5 races on the card at Gulfstream Park. The first 5 races on the card at Santa Anita. He'll be the host this week. And not many people beat Brian Addo last week. There was a lot of chalk around the country. The scores were very low. Brian picked 5 winners in the 10 races, and I think 22 people beat him, which is a low number in here when we're talking about more than 750 registrants in the Beat the Host competition. So nice job by Brian last week. See what you can do at Quigs and try to qualify for that Beat the Host championship round. All right, let's talk Friday stakes races now. Kick things off. Oaklawn Park for the Southwest Stakes. It's race number 11 on the card again. We started with a field of 14. Number 5, Litmus Test, has scratched out of there. Post time for this one is 5:40 Eastern, so we've got a couple hours shelf life. Shap, let's put people on a winner.
Yeah, I mean, this is a heck of a race. $1 million on a Friday afternoon, 5:40 Eastern. And I'm going to play this race as a meltdown, and that hopefully should lead to some good prices, because it appears to me that Decode and Butane will take the most money in here. As you mentioned, Litmus Test was listed as the 5-2 favorite. Whether that was stuck or not, I think it's pretty clear Decode and Butane will be the 2 favorites. But them, along with Reclamation, all drawn down towards the inside, not towards, on the inside, and all really seem to have no way to go but to the lead, or at least if I'm gambling on them at their likeliest odds to win, I want them to be sent from the lead. So I'm going to hope that some runners can come from off the pace. I don't want to steal your thunder with your angle. I know it's a good, it was definitely a strong one that I think people should look at. But I did land by eliminating a few horses along the way on number 4, Rancho Santa Fe. Right. Who I think we're going to take a look back at the Smarty Jones, and he was not in a position ever really to win that race. Now, he didn't run much, but he was very wide on a day where the inside was the place to be in Hot Springs. And I think it's a pretty forgivable effort. You move to the inside, you should get a more favorable flow, and you get a better rider in Flavian Pratt. So Brad Cox has not been hot of late. I've lost money on him in a couple of these Gulfstream races, but hopefully this one can fire his best shot.
Rancho Santa Fe, one of 5 horses coming out of the Smarty Jones Stakes, all rematched in this one, including Strategic Risk, who was fast on the back end of that race. Let's go back to the Smarty Jones and take it gate to wire and give you a chance to fully look at this race, do a little trip handicapping looking back at it, because anytime you've got 5 contenders coming out of the same race, video study to me becomes very, very important. Let's go to the Smarty Jones gate to wire. Matt Dinnerman on the mic.
They're off. Clean break for everybody. The long shot, Starship gets the first call of the race. Oscar's Hope is prominent. Right behind will take a hold, and Starship leads the way at 50-1. Goes into the first turn, a length and a half clear, getting over towards the rail to save some ground on the first turn. Oscar's Hope happy to track. Will take a hold with Strategic Risk, who's on the tail of that front runner. Sleeping on Freedom, Baytown Dreamer, they're side by side. Silent Tactic right behind that duo with Universe, who's down on the rail. And Rancho Santa Fe 3 wide at the back. A compact group separated by 6 or 7 lengths as they swing up the backstretch. Not a fast pace at all set by Starship. They went 24-2 up front. It's Starship by 2 down the backstretch, opens up the lead just a little bit. Strategic Risk, happy to be placed in second here. Oscar's Hope to the inside of him. There's a gap of a length and a half to Baytown Dreamers, Sleeping on Freedom to his outside. Universe, patiently ridden, still on the rail. 6 off the lead going into the far turn. Rancho Santa Fe 3 wide, along with Silent Tactic in between horses as they go into the far turn. Starship turns it into a 3-furlong sprint with a half at 49-3. Still on top of length. Now it's a half length. Here comes Strategic Risk on the outside. Strategic Risk on the throat latch of Starship as they round the far turn. Sleeping on Freedom is sent hard third, and he's a length and a half behind the top pair who are right together. Oscar's Hope is given way with Baytown Dreamer. Rancho Santa Fe not picking up his feet. Universe is dead last as they come down the lane, and Strategic Risk just pounced on the early leader and kicks away. Strategic Risk by 4 hitting the 16th pole. Silent Tactic coming on late, and Baytown Dreamer at 84-1 is third. It's Strategic Risk in the Smarty Jones. He won for fun. Second home, Silent Tactic. It's a 1-2 finish for John Oxley and Mark Cassie. Baytown Dreamer checked in third.
Cassie's dream season at Oaklawn continued with that one. He's been red hot there. Scott, this is going to be a different looking pace in that race, obviously, right? Very slow fractions in that one, which allowed for that unbelievable finish. I mean, he came home in 24, low 6 for the final 16th of a mile. I mean, he absolutely flew home. Second straight time for Strategic Risk going around 2 turns, and he's gotten a brisk late pace figure of 105 and 106. So you got 105 in the race in the Florida Sire Stakes in the In Reality, then a 106 here. Some of that obviously aided by a slow pace and having that ability to finish up. How much comes off the fastball with a faster pace really tells the tale with Strategic Risk and how he'll run back in this one.
Well, it sure does, but I am going to throw your angle out there now since I've given you a chance to, because I think it's important. And I mean, it makes sense. I looked at it too, but you just brought it to the attention first. Remember, they've been off racing at Oaklawn now. They were off scheduled, and then they had another week off because of the weather, and that got in the way of horses' training regimens.
Right.
So maybe an angle to look at in this race, maybe all in on, maybe just to use as a separator if you're between horses that were able to leave Oaklawn and train, and there are a good deal of them. You've got Butane, of course, coming in from California, who never had to skip a beat. You've got Rancho Santa Fe, who was able to sneak off to Fairgrounds, and that was why I bumped him up a little bit over one or two others. You got Liberty National as well for Kenny McPeak. You've got Silent Tactic did not leave, nor did Strategic Risk. So the top two finishers. And then you've got Soldier and Diplomat on the outside for Steve Asmussen, who loves to keep his best horses at Fairgrounds over the winter to train there and then send them where they need to go. So to me, that could be a separator in this race, because if not, I probably would have, between that and Post, I probably think Silent Tactic makes a little more sense just watching back the race and assessing overall form. But I'm excited to bet this race because I think that Strategic Risk is a little vulnerable since this is a different game, like you mentioned with the pace. I'm going to build around the 11 and the 4 in the tries, and because of their prices, I can spend a little. I can use my budget to put them in different slots instead of maybe trying to use it all on them on top because they're 15 and 20-1 on the morning line.
Yeah, 10-1 in the morning line is Liberty National. These morning lines are all going to, are kind of out the window with a 5-2 shot gone. That's 28 points off the line right there in litmus test scratching. But Liberty National 10-1 in the morning line. If he goes somewhere in that 7-8-1 range, probably a fair price. He's coming off a second in the gun runner. I think the race sets up for a closer. He's a late running type. You got a big number off the pace at Churchill when he broke his maiden. Again, that was a slower pace, but finished up strong. The horses in the gun runner didn't come back and run particularly well in the Lecomte third place finish in there for the winner. Chip Hondo for Steve Asmussen coming back was the best of all the horses who came back from the gun runner to the Lecomte. So I'm a little bit disappointed in that, but I think the Lecomte winner is pretty nice. And for Liberty National in this particular spot, I think this field is going to set up nice pace-wise. McPeak and Hernandez a couple years ago came through here with Mystic Dan, of course, en route to winning the Kentucky Derby. And I think he gets the right pace set up, and he's a horse who has that uninterrupted training, like you mentioned. We're talking about a horse who's been at Fairgrounds all winter, firing bullets. I mean, you look at him, he's worked January 3rd, January 10th, January 27th, or January 17th, January 23rd, every 6-7 days, right up on cue where he wanted to be for this particular spot. I like Liberty National in here to pull a minor upset. Again, I think that freshness makes a difference. And the fitness, I should say, over the horses who have just been walking the shed row. The track did reopen for some training earlier this week, but again, they missed about a full week of training. So all the horses were able to do were walk around the shed row. Sometimes a trainer will put them under tack to do that, to carry a little more weight to walk around. But other than just kind of for the peace of mind of getting them out of the stall a little bit, there's not a lot that can be gained by that. So these horses kind of come off with a little bit of deficiency in their fitness at Oaklawn. It's been that way historically over the years when they come back from these cancellations and track being frozen and they can't train over it. And we saw yesterday and Thursday in the 5th season stakes, which is the first stakes race back this week and a loaded week at Oaklawn in terms of stakes races. The Dallas Stewart horse coming in from Fairgrounds didn't have the greatest form, but He was more fit than the others, and I think he was fourth choice or third choice in a 5-horse field. Came in, paid $11, and pulled a minor upset in there as the big favorite for Moquette. Was odds on, but hadn't been able to train over the track and was really flat and didn't do anything in the 5th season. So, not saying it's the absolute way you need to lean in this particular spot, but I think if you like the horses coming out of the Smarty Jones that stayed at Oaklawn, you better get a little bit more price than you were thinking of going into it. Make that value, what drives you back to those horses. Otherwise, I'll try to beat them. Even though I like Strategic Risk quite a bit as a Derby prospect, I think he's a really legitimate 3-year-old for Cassie. I'll try to beat him this week.
Understandable. And Liberty National was really good to me on November 29th at Churchill. The old McPeak second start angle, sprinter route, got that lesson first time. Really ran well. I mean, didn't get a setup and wasn't on the pace that day and finished well. And he came back a little quick in that gun runner and still fired a little, well. Now he gets full rest. So he's going to be a use for me as well, given the way I hope this race shapes up.
That is a look at today, Friday, Southwest Stakes at Oaklawn. As we do our pod live here to tape, we do not have the scratches and changes for the full card yet today. So if any of the horses we're talking about, we referenced, happened to scratch in here, be sure to consult the late scratches and changes. What I'm saying here, we did not have the benefit of those going into taping the podcast here for Friday. To Saturday we go now, and let's talk about our traditional Saturday handicapping lineup. 7 races for you, starting with Gulfstream Park and race number 10. It's the ladies turf sprint, 5/8 of a mile, a field of 8. And Scott, I know we got to get to the bottom of the program to get your pick in this one.
We do. I think the outside 3 are going to play the major factor early, and probably one of the winners. The winner will come from one of those. You got Twirling Queen, Moonspun, and then my pick, Cart Girl Sam. And I'm hopeful Moonspun, let's be clear, is the clear one to beat. And here, Brian Lynch firing on all cylinders. I thought maybe he was cooling off. False. I got a couple of lessons on that over the course of the last couple of Saturdays, but at Gulfstream. But that one's third off the lab. I'm just hopeful that Twirling Queen inside of her can put a little pressure, not a little, a lot of pressure. They go her quick early, and Cart Girl Sam should be able to cruise right into that perfect stalking spot from the outside. I thought ran well in the Panzeretta last time out to Big Trouble. That was a 12-horse field at Fairgrounds. I think overall this one's kept really good company, and she's proven herself in the one start at Gulfstream and elsewhere. So I think Cart Girl Sam's in with a pretty decent chance here if Moonspun is beatable.
Let's go back to New Orleans. Take a look at that race in November. John Dooley on the mic. She's trying to outrun a good one in Big Trouble. Here is Cart Girl Sam.
Sassy Strutter and Cupid's Crush. The purple cap is coming up with a bit on the far outside. These fillies mares have straightened away. Cart Girl Sam is with the rail, and right there looking for a gap. Serving Time got caught in tight quarters. Sassy Strutter, Accomplished Girl battles. The battle joined by Big Trouble with to the inside Serving Time as they come down toward the final half along with Declan Cannon. It's Big Trouble who went to the top. Big Trouble is slipping away from them in the Panzeretta. Big Trouble pulled away to win by 3.5 from Cart Girl Sam. Third is close between Gavea with
Cart Girl Sam will be Scott's top pick in the Gulfstream Park Ladies Turf Sprint. That's race number 10 on the card. Be part of the final races on the program that make up that Sunset Pick 6. Final 3 on the card at Gulfstream. Final 3 on the card at Santa Anita. If you like playing that Sunset Pick 6, forgot to mention at the top of the show, Friday, Sunset Pick 6. You got a little bit of time to get down on that today. As a carryover, more than $50,000. And there's also a Pick 6 carryover at Santa Anita today, over $50,000. Scott's got a handicapping for you on the website of the Santa Anita Pick 6 for Friday. Frank Caruli's got you covered for Friday's carryover Sunset Pick 6 analysis. So be sure to check all of that out. Speaking of Santa Anita, that's where we're going to go next for Saturday's Stakes Quartet that we will handicap beginning in race number 5. It's the Thunder Road Stakes. Scott, I'm trying to figure out who Thunder Road is that this race was named for. There have been 10 different Thunder Roads I could find. All of them stank. There was a quarter horse, one from Japan, one from New Zealand, one from Argentina, one from Ireland. None of them could run a lick, so I have no idea if this horse is named for the song for Bruce Springsteen.
That's what I was going to guess.
If it's Robert Mitchum's movie from the 1950s, I have no idea. But I know this: they started running the Thunder Road in 2004, and its very first winner was a Breeders' Cup Mile winner in Singletary later that year. I don't know if we've got a Breeders' Cup winner in this race, but hopefully you've got the winner that can cash us a ticket on Saturday.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that picking, and this is no creative selection, the best chance in this race to win the Breeders' Cup Mile as well as this race. And that's number one, Gas Me Up, who I didn't like much at all last time. I thought it was a kind of a prep to kind of get back into things, to set him up for a two-turn race, which I think is what he's bred for. He's running both distances, but man, good setup. But this horse was shot out of a cannon, 99 late pace, hadn't run over that hillside turf course before, had run over the Woodbine. So maybe he's better at that kind of elongated one-turn sprint, but he's run well at a mile. And I just think he's in really good form here. And I think he meets a group that he should certainly handle with a mid-pack trip or a little bit further off it under Mirko Demura, who I've looked back today. I don't know how many other riders there are, but he's one of them that has a positive ROI on the turf dating back to since he's gotten here, 155 starts. So well positive. He's a good turf rider.
He'll have to beat El Potente, the defending champ in this race, but you mentioned that good recent form. El Potente has lost both starts since winning this race a year ago. That win, though, that we want to take a look at from Gas Me Up, cue the cannon, as Scott said.
Joe, yellow card is on the inside. Out in the center of the course comes Gas Me Up. There's 1 furlong to go. Flyover yet to get by Schwarzmeyer. And now from the back, here's Sumter and Gas Me Up. Both flying home, and they're head and head coming for the wire. Sumter and Flavian Pratt. Gas Me Up on the outside, and Mirko Demura. Gas Me Up from last to first. A stylish win in the Joe Hernandez. Sumter was second.
Gas Me Up, top choice for Scott in race number 5. That's the Thunder Road. If you're looking for a rolling daily double, maybe into the 6th race, we've got more stakes action for you Saturday at the Great Race Place. The first running of the D. Wayne Lukas Stakes. This was formerly known as the Santa Monica, renamed for the legendary trainer who passed away last June 28th at the age of 89. First big win for Lukas was at Santa Anita as a thoroughbred trainer all the way back in 1977. And, of course, most notably for Lukas, I think, in his career at Santa Anita, the 1988 Santa Anita Derby when Winning Colors beat the boys and ended up sharing the Sports Illustrated cover with Michael Jordan the following week. So Lukas had a great history at Santa Anita. Appropriately enough, the Lukas Stakes got a Breeders' Cup champion in the field, Scott, in Splendora. Lukas won 20 Breeders' Cup races. Splendora last year made her name known as a Breeders' Cup champion as well for Bob Baffert.
Without question. I mean, I wanted to be creative in this race because there's another filly in here that I really like, and that's Me and Molly McGee, who I'm surprised is back. I was worried. I bet her in the test stakes at 18-1, and she had to be, taken off the course. But she's back, and she's been running, training well. I just don't know if she's good enough to beat Splendora. This feels like this is, not coming back quick enough where I'd say, this is an afterthought. This is the starting point for her 5-year-old campaign. Maybe she'll be a little short, although Bafferts normally aren't. But, man, she's pretty legit. I guess the one knock you could have on her is she's finished second 4 of her 6 starts at Santa Anita with just 1 win.
Yeah, Splendora last time out won at Del Mar, of course, looking so good in the morning, training up to that race. She's training well up to this one as well. Went back to First.TV, looked at a couple works that we had for her. Once again, she looked effortless, working 47-3. She looks like she's galloping when she's going that fast. That's kind of what tipped her to the Breeders' Cup when she ran this cracker performance.
She's got 4 lengths to make up as Splendora has taken the lead under Flavian Pratt with 1 furlong to run. Leaving stablemate behind, Hope Road second. Then comes Baba to the outside. Splendora running away in the Filly and Bear sprint. She won it by 5 lengths on the wire. It was Baba second, Hope Road was third, and Cyclones finished 4th. And a final.
She's got the ability to sit and pounce like she did there in the Breeders' Cup. If you're going to beat her in this race, maybe it's somebody that just gets in front and doesn't come back, right? And she doesn't fire. I don't think somebody's rallying by her in this particular spot. So if you're looking for an upsetter against Splendora, speed's the path to try, and you've got the right idea there with Me and Molly McGee, who's going to probably be in front in here, fresh in Saratoga, and she's gone to the lead in pretty much every one of her starts to this point. So right strategy, it's just going to be a matter of whether anybody can hold her off, I would think.
It's a tall task, but if the tote board tells me 1-9 or 1-5 and 10-1, you don't want to be tied to your opinions too much. I mean, I expect Splendor to be that price. sometimes, the other horse gets bet too much as well when it looks like there's an obvious other one. I don't know if the public will see it that way. They won't probably, because Formula Rossa is probably going to be the second choice. So maybe there's some money to be made in this race, even if Splendora wins.
All right, let's go from the Lukas Stakes in race number 6 to the Bob Lewis feature race on Saturday at Santa Anita. First really big prep for the Triple Crown Series at Santa Anita this year. No sham stakes anymore at the beginning of the campaign. So this is our first two-turn test. We did see the San Vicente already this year with So Happy winning. Probably a sprinter for Mark Glatt, but might get a chance to stretch out. That was 7/8 of a mile. None of the San Vicente runners are going the two-turn mile here in the Bob Lewis. So it's kind of a return of the 2-year-olds, if you will. Top 3 finishers from last year's race at Santa Anita, the grade 1 prep for the Breeders' Cup, the American Pharoah Stakes. They're all back in here. Intrepido, Plutarch, Desert Gate, they're back. And really, they weren't separated by all that much in the American Pharoah. 3/4 of a length on the wire. I thought back that day, Intrepido had the rough trip of the group and improved best that day. Intrepido since didn't train that great going into the Breeders' Cup, and a horse I was really high on going into the American Pharoah. So I kind of got a little cold on him for the Breeders' Cup and tepid. I've tried to watch his works for the winter coming back here that they have at First.tv, and for everyone I like, I have another one where I'm like, so I'm not 100% sure where he's at. He's a very difficult read. He's not working bad, but he's not working tremendously, but he's shown some glimpses in the morning here and there. I don't know which Intrepido shows up here, Scott. I think he's a pretty nice horse, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, I'm a little worried we might have seen the best of him that day because he was very good. He won despite the trip that day. And it wasn't Hector Barrios' fault. It was just one of those deals where you get caught inside giving a ride.
Yeah.
But depending on how much he gets bet, I don't know. Desert Gate's going to take a lot of money, I'm sure. He's training very well.
I think Desert Gate's going to be close to odds on. I think he's going to get hammered.
But even having lost to Intrepido last time out?
Yeah, he's the Baffert. He's really working strongly. He was working head-to-head with Baffert's horse Litmus Test. Outworked him so badly that they didn't even put Litmus Test on a plane to go to Oaklawn. I think Desert Gate's going to take a ton of money in here. I'm not saying he's a runaway winner of the race, but I think he's going to get hammered.
Well, I think those are the two that are going to take the most money, and I think you're right. It'll probably be even money, 3-1, 7-2-ish. I'm going to try another one of the Bafferts, not Plutarch, who should be very, very good on the dirt based on the pedigree, but has not been thus far. It's probably been better on the turf, other than the third place finish in the Pharoah. It was pretty good, but Cherokee Nation might be a little sneaky in here. The maiden, not the only maiden I'm going to pick on this program today, but the more creative one, and 1.15 million. Underwhelming debut, but lost to Boyd. And you know how it goes when several Bafferts are in there and, certain ones are ridden for speed. I'm not going to hold that against them. Then comes back, first time 2 turns and runs a good second to Mr. AP, who came back and ran well. And Bob thinks enough of him. He doesn't send horses to Kentucky for the Kentucky Jockey Club often. Right. Maybe it wasn't a sign, but to me, maybe that's a bullish sign. 1.15 million, sending him off there. He didn't run that well. But then he comes back, and we're going to take a look at it next. It's pretty unarguable that he was clearly best in his maiden effort off the layoff last time and just got unlucky with the start. Can he get overlooked in the wagering and win? I'm hopeful.
He's going to get overlooked in the wagering, I think, under Freyzoo. So I think you've got the right price. Let's give the fans a chance to see that trouble with the start last time. And then the finish, as Robusta held on to win by a half length, but certainly Cherokee Nation was running fastest of all to and through the wire.
And they're a very awkward start for Cherokee Nation at the back of the field. Robusta began very smoothly with a 2-length lead. Easy Company trying to bridge the gap in second. On the extreme outside, Cherokee Nation still about 6 lengths off Robusta, who's in the final furlong and in front by 2 over Easy Company. Robusta holding on. Easy Company trying hard. The other 3 lined up. 3 in a row for Doug O'Neill. Robusta all the way. Cherokee Nation found his best stride and closed stoutly to complete the exacta.
Bob Baffert's won this race 13 times, the Bob Lewis, and I think it's 8 in a row. The last horse to win the Bob Lewis that wasn't a Bob Baffert trainee Lombo for Michael Pender way back when.
I was
think
there.
it was like 2013 or something. I mean, it's been a long time since it hasn't been Baffert in the winner's circle for this race.
No doubt about it. So, but you know what? I remember a man short time ago, in fact, for the American Pharaoh going up against the similar odds. He found a way to get Intrepido home. So perhaps maybe it's going to be an upset. It's going to have to be Intrepido, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be Briggs Army Power, Robusta, or Secured Freedom.
Yeah, I've got it 1-4-3. I do have Desert Gate winning. I think he's the more now horse right now, the way he's training versus Intrepido, where I'm not quite sure where he's at. Other thing about Intrepido I want to mention in this race, because of the allowance conditions of this stakes race, he's got a 2-turn stakes win, which makes him carry 124. The other horses haven't won a stakes around 2 turns. They get in 4 pounds less. So a 4-pound weight break, he's got to give 4 to the entire field in here. And I don't know if he's got an advantage over him to start with. So then he's got to give 4. I took 1-4-3 the way I've got it in the Bob Lewis.
Understandable. I Desert Gate's the one to beat. I just don't think he's the one to bet.
That I would agree with there. I think he's going to be a very short price. To the Sweet Life Stakes we go. Race number 9 on the card. Look, if you've got a short price there in the Lewis and race number 8, and you don't think the exactors are going to return much in a shorter field size, look to the daily doubles, because the Sweet Life Stakes in race number 9 has a field of 12. Let the math work for you. The losing tickets pay the winners in this game. That's how parimutuel wagering works. So use that field size in race number 9. If you're gambling on the 8th in the Bob Lewis, look heavily to the daily doubles races 8 to race 9. Sweet Life Stakes race number 9. Sweet Life was a pretty nice mare in her own right. She was grade 1 place, but as a brood mare is why she's got a race name for 2-time producer of Breeders' Cup champions, Sweet Catamine, who won a Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, and Life is Sweet, who won a Breeders' Cup Distaff. One of the rare mares in history to produce 2 different Breeders' Cup winners. That is Sweet Life. They're running this race at 6.5 down the hill on the turf. And again, a field of 12 entered in race number 9. Scott, which one do you like?
Well, the interesting part about this race is the 3 favorites, or 2 of the 2 morning line favorites and another one of the co-third choices, all have never raced on the turf. So to me, yeah, you could look at pedigree, and make a case for why Mo Haven for Sadler, who's been cold, might move forward, or Hamika for Baffert, who's I think seen better days, or light one up for Doug O'Neill. I'm going to try to beat all 3 of them. I'm not into that. I don't know how the wagering will play out, but hopefully there's enough pace, because I really do like number 1, Hypergamy, to run a big one here on the cutback. She hasn't been one turn since her debut effort, when she ran a good second, just going 5 furlongs at Del Mar. And she cuts back now after making a solid middle move into a modest tempo in terms of, they went very slow in the second quarter there, and she was making a middle move under Jaramillo, who sensed the pace, I guess. She evened out late in the 1 mile race. Jaramillo can get her into the race and not have her too far out of it early on the cutback. I think she can outfinish this group at a good price. She's 10-1 on the line.
Doesn't hurt for a rider to get that second ride with a horse, kind of get to know him a little bit, because she was a little rough changing leads at the end here, what you're going to see. And maybe he'll kind of put that in the old mental Rolodex on how he tries to get her to finish up in the stretch this time. Hypergamy, she rallied towards the front, ended up 4th in the Blue Northern Stakes, going a mile last time. Keep an eye on her rallying on the outside in our replay.
Right by Hypergamy is cut loose and making her move. Peanut Butter Bomb is just behind these rivals. Lots of changes throughout this race. There's 1 furlong to go. Hypergamy takes off on the outside of Wild Like the West. Total Bell hanging tough. Down on the inside, a nice run from La Vie Lumiere, who saved every inch of ground, and La Vie Lumiere's coming with each and every stride. La Vie Lumiere, beautifully handled by Flavien Prat in a narrow decision, taking the Blue Northern.
Way she kind of came in when they tried to change leads there. I wouldn't be surprised with the rail if Jaramillo just doesn't stay inside. You try to cut that corner coming down the downhill turf sprint like that, and see if she can't kind of get a little bit of re-break there at the top of the stretch, crossing over the dirt. I think the inside might actually be a very favorable post position after watching that replay and the way she was running kind of there, a little choppy towards the lead switch there at the 16th pole. Interesting pick, Scott. 10-1 in the morning line. I like this one.
Yeah, I think so. My one concern, I'm looking at it. Maybe with Jaramillo, she won't even be that far out of it. But that's my biggest concern in the race, is that there's just not a big setup for her. But otherwise, I love the cutback. I love the, in general down the hill, and I like it for this horse. So that's generally a good combo, and you can get a good price.
All right, that's the action on Saturday at Santa Anita. 2 million point late pick 4 hit and split on Saturday at Santa Anita. When you bet with First Bet and Express Bet, 2 million first rewards points on the line. So be sure to play that late pick 4 on Saturday at the Great Race Place. And of course, those first 5 races on the card Saturday at Santa Anita are part of the Express Bet Beat the Host handicapping tournament. Last 5 at Gulfstream, first 5 at Santa Anita every Saturday. Make up the 10 handicapping contest races and beat the host. Week 6 of 9 coming up next. Tom Quigley is your target. Take him down to win the Express Bet Beat the Host. All right, let's go to Tampa Bay Downs for a couple stakes races on Saturday. First up, the Pelican Stakes. We'll follow things up with the Sam F. Davis with the Triple Crown hopefuls in action in that one. 6 furlong sprint, the Pelican. I made this the Express Bet race of the week. You got a good, decent field size in here of 9. And I don't think there's any complete standouts in here. Silver Slugger's done so well over the track at Tampa Bay Downs. 8-time winner in 9 starts over the going there. But I think this is a competitive bunch. Silver Slugger, for the most part, has raced in the allowance ranks at Tampa. This will be one of his tougher local tests in here. I know you like Silver Slugger in here, Scott. Make the case.
Well, it's a lukewarm opinion. If he's going to be favored over the likes of Concrete Glory, Wound Up, Trackmate, or a little bit lower or equal on the morning line, I will lean elsewhere. But I just like the post. I think Concrete Glory is drawn to his inside. Well, I don't think. I know. Wound Up is drawn to his inside. And I think Silver Slugger is just going to get that perfect stalking trip. You got Beach Colt maybe to the outside, too, to add to a little bit of the heat. So I'm going to take the horse that I know likes this surface, likes to win races. But, again, I wouldn't take anything under the morning line price.
This is a fun group of veteran sprinters because you've got Concrete Glory, who's won 17 times, 10-time winner Wound Up. Silver Slugger's won 11 out of 17. Beach Colt's going to be one of the longer shots, and here's won 14 times. So 10-time winner in the race is the 4th most victories in this field. It's a good-looking group of sprinters. I took my shot in here. I've taken 2 chances to beat the favorite in this particular spot. I think the 8 and the 5 are the keys. The 8, Chrome Ghost, training very well for this one. Last time out was an easy pace and able to finish up strong, but this horse has been able to sit in previous races, and I like that pace versatility. If they go slow, able to be up into the mix, but in races where there's been a fast pace, which there will be in this one, she's been able to sit and finish up pretty nicely. A 7 furlong sprint win with a 95 brisk late pace figure back in January of last year. Looking for kind of a flashback of that same kind of style, that same kind of quality finish. If she can, the 8 Chrome Ghost is my top pick in here. And number 5, Trackmate, I think is one you really want to keep an eye on in here for trainer Rusty Arnold. This horse hasn't run since November, but cuts back, was too close to a fast pace last time under an aggressive rider in Luis Saez. More patient rider in Flavian Pratt could fit this one pretty well. Good company lines for this horse, and a horse who can finish up. If you like the brisk late pace figures, as I do and Scott does, in a race that has this much speed to it, 95, 98, 97, 104. He's put up 4 different brisk late pace figures that might be good enough to push past these runners in the stretch. So I think Trackmate's got a big shot in here. Trackmate, Chrome Ghost, the 2 that I'm going to try to work on. And I've got a ton of respect in here for the big-time winners, Concrete Glory, and also Scott's pick, Silver Slugger. So 8-5 on top, trying to get the price. 6-3 probably underneath them if you're looking towards the exactas. If you're looking at a daily double and you got a horse you love in the featured Sam F. Davis, you can start here in race number 10 and move a double in. And that's really what I did in my race of the week analysis. I'm looking at some doubles in here. I'm going to use the 8 and the 5, and I'm going to go to our pick in the Sam F. Davis Stakes. And I know ahead of time, Scott and I are on the same horse in this particular spot. I'll let you tell them why Renegade's going to get us to the winner's circle.
Well, hopefully I'm not retiring my only other Derby futures bet, but this is a very well-bred son of Into Mischief. The Damn Spice is nice, was a very serious, classy racehorse as well. Bred to run all day, especially on the dam side. Debut effort, not concerned with, but comes back on the 1-turn mile and runs a huge effort, beating Paladin to the wire, who's probably the favorite in the Risen Star next week, or one of them, and is actually one of the favorites for the Derby at this point. Yes. He was unable to beat him in the Remsen, and you know, at face value, you could just say, well, Paladin's one of the best horses. Renegade's run well against him. He's not facing Paladin here. He should have a big shot. But when you add to the mix the fact that he was not coming into that race, in my opinion, absolutely fit. He had not trained. I mean, you could see
No.
there's a couple weeks off leading into the Remsen, and he still ran well. Kind of the same point we were making with the not the Smarty Jones, but the Southwest later today.
Yep.
So I think Renegade should be ready for his best. I think he's a legit Derby contender. Todd's hoping so as well now that he lost Ted Nafi. He has neither. But I'm hopeful Irad shows how good I really think this colt is.
$250,000 race. They're bypassing a maiden easy purse probably for him. They could have went back to the maiden rank. So I think that's a good sign. I don't think they're forcing the hand. Look, this horse won a maiden special weight. He just got DQ'd for questionable interference where he and Paladin were both kind of going at it late in the going in that mile race back at Aqueduct. I agree with you. When they rematched in the Remsen Stakes, he ran better than expected in my estimation because I didn't know about his fitness for that particular race, especially a Remsen that was run at 9 furlongs, where fitness was certainly underscored with 2 lines. So let's go back and take a look at the stretch run with Renegade and Paladin in the Remsen.
To go. Balboa and Day One starter are still there. Renegade and Paladin, they hook up again on the grandstand side. It's Balboa who's in front. Paladin and Renegade battling on in between horses, and the boys are at it again. It's Paladin and Renegade. They've got a 16th left to go. Paladin to the outside edge is clear. Paladin will win the Grade 2 Remsen. Paladin wins it over Renegade. Balboa finished third and courting in 1 minute 50 and 4.
Not the most brilliant stretch run in there, but you don't expect it for 2-year-olds in November going 9 furlongs. And again, I just think this horse is going to be so much sharper. He'll need to be at a mile and a 16th, but there will be pace in here to set the table. Renegade's going to be coming from off of it, but down on the inside, you got the stretch out sprinter Confessional for Brad Cox. He's certainly got gas. Puma's coming out of a sprint race, and he's another maiden. I think the 2 favorites in this race are going to be the maidens. I think Puma's going to be second choice behind Renegade as the favorite in here. Puma's got plenty of speed. He comes out of that fast race where Chief Wallaby was able to catch him, but he's got 45 and change speed to make the front. He's drawn to the inside under a speed jock and Javier Castellano. You expect him to go for the front in this particular spot. And on the outside, you've got the extremes, inside and outside. Dr. Kapoor's got a lot of speed in here for trainer Safi Joseph, and Samuel Marin will ride. And you look at a horse like this where he looks behind the 8 ball in training. He's only had a couple workouts. He's very fresh. I think he'll run for a while. Dr. Kapoor impressed the pace, but probably maybe next time, the time you want to catch that horse. I look at this race as one that's going to have plenty of tempo to it for a mile and a 16.
Yeah, that was what made it that much clearer that I wanted to not get overly creative in here. I think you're right. I think the Puma will take a lot of money, was favored against Chief Wallaby, who won that race and ends up now being one of the horses a lot of people are looking to come the first Saturday in May. So I'm hopeful they go at it as well. I want to see the real Renegade because, I need him to run well.
And if Confessional runs well here, you're going to move that nearly victory last time out last week in the Holy Bull Stakes up even farther. Nearly beat Confessional by 5 lengths in their allowance match up at Gulfstream back on January 2nd. So if Confessional turns out to be a good one, you're going to say, wow, how good is Nearly? Because he dusted this horse by 5 lengths last time, came back out of that race, and has already won the Holy Bull. We won't know about Nearly till he leaves Gulfstream, right? He's always going to be one of those horses. We know he's good at Gulfstream, but where when he goes somewhere else will he be the same? But certainly if you're a fan of Nearly, last week's Holy Bull winner, you're looking at Confessional to run a good race in here.
Yeah, without question. Now, some things can change, and the horse, got beat 5 lengths by him, and it was a sprint, but he got beat by 5 lengths by him handily, like for fun, and Nearly did not have a great trip that day. It wasn't as if so Confessional had every reason to run well. So I agree with you to an extent. It'll be interesting to see if a Brad Cox runner can, one of these 3-year-olds can fire, because he had a couple of big disappointments last. Well, he had the biggest one was with he's had disappointments the last 2 weeks in Florida. Couple in the Pegasus, one in the Holy Bull.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Holy Bull performance by Cannoneer, one that just kind of empty was the word at the top of the stretch. In that one, we'll see how Confessional does on the stretch out. That's going to wrap up our handicapping. Sam F. Davis Stakes is part of that $10 money back special that you get with all the Kentucky Derby preps, all the points preps between now and April. When you bet with First Bet and Express Bet, get up to $10 back in your account in wagering credits if your win bet in one of these Derby preps finishes second or third. So you got a little backup insurance for you in the Sam F. Davis. Whether you want to take a long shot, whether you want to take a favorite and figure you'll get something back, even if they happen to run second or third. However your strategy maps out for the money back special, be sure to circle those races. Today on Friday, the Southwest and the Withers, both races eligible for the money back special. Then on Saturday, the Bob Lewis at Santa Anita, and this race we just talked about, the Sam F. Davis, also eligible. So chance to get $40 back in those 4 races, but hopefully you're hitting winners in those, Scott, and not needing the money back specials.
That's right. I like money back specials, but I like being rewarded for winning first and foremost. So register for that insurance, but try to pick winners, not underneath finishers. And yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. I'm actually, it's Friday morning. Normally, I'm very excited wagering wise to think about Saturday. Probably make some wagers on Friday. I'm really excited to bet a couple of things on Friday later today. The Southwest Stakes, I'm going to bet individually, try to get those horses into the number that I like at prices with the setup. And then I'm also going to get involved in the $2 pick 6 carryover at Santa Anita Park, as you mentioned, that I have a blog up already for that.
Sunset 6, Coast to Coast pick 5, carryover pick 6 at Santa Anita. A lot cooking on a Friday that also happens to have 2 Kentucky Derby prep races. It's a good Friday. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Good luck.